Hello, welcome back to Level 1 News. Today's December 22nd. Hopefully your Amazon packages are all here so you don't have to go scrambling to the stores before Christmas Eve.
If they're not coming.
They're not coming. Actually, you probably should have ordered them way before now, but
Well,
anyway.
yeah, it's their fault, Krista. Let's make that clear. They brought this on themselves.
We literally told you in October to go ahead and get your Christmas shopping out of the way.
Yeah, I have to do a little today.
What with the shortages and all. I can't even buy USB chips.
It's a rough time.
Speaking of rough times.
Oh, perfect. Apple delays corporate return to offices indefinitely.
Why? Because of the thing.
And they don't.
I only included one, but there was a host of companies that have said basically the same thing, because they had all set dates, and now it's like, well, maybe that was premature.
They just keep pushing it back, and it's like, just let people work from home if they don't have to be there. Like, why?
Apple's disappointed because they built this new spaceship thing, and there's nobody to enjoy the just absurd design of the...
It looks great.
It looks great. It's probably not functional.
I bet the janitors are having so much fun just being there by themselves.
There's probably a few other people in the office who have to go in every now and then.
I guarantee one whole floor is set up as a drone racing ring with the janitors, and they're just flying drones around into the glass windows and stuff.
Would you even need to clean it that much? You probably just have to dust it every now and then, right?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I like to think it's way worse than that. Like they're up there fighting roosters,
It's getting real wild.
running human trafficking out of there. Just nobody's calling them on anything.
It's not a rooster fight, it's drone fighting. It's very expensive.
The dystopia of building such a ridiculous and expensive office building and no one working there doesn't seem to be affecting their value any.
Apple is about to become the world's first $3 trillion company. You can't even conceptualize that amount of money.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
They won't let them fall.
Yeah, but it's going to take them 20 years to fall.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, look how, Microsoft is still running fine on all of their stuff.
IBM is still doing fine. Oracle is still doing fine.
Yeah. That just means they're going to get more and more sociopathic as they get older, too, which is unfortunate.
Yahoo still exists. Can we just take a moment to realize that Yahoo still exists?
it does, and I don't understand why.
It is crazy that Yahoo still exists because they have nothing of value.
We
They did
occasionally have
everything they could
stories from
wrong.
Yahoo.
It's almost like some experiment. It's like, let's see what happens. Well, it turns out they can still exist for another decade. That's just not even mad. That's impressive. Speaking of an endless series of mistakes,
Silicon Valley's voice in Washington dissolves.
that is the Internet Association. The Internet Association was founded to be Silicon Valley's voice in Washington. It's gone.
Because now Silicon Valley is the voice of Washington.
Right. It sounds like this was just a lobbying group, and it's like they don't even have to, they don't need to lobby indirectly. They just lobby directly.
Hey, we got a direct line to the source now. We don't need you.
Well, it's funny because some of the smaller members of the Internet Association said that it came to be dominated by Facebook, Apple, Google,
Yeah.
and Microsoft. And they said, hey, can we continue to exist without those mega companies? Maybe we could put a cap on membership, but if you have more than $500 billion in revenue a year, that you can't be a part of the Internet Association, so smaller companies can still have a voice. And the incumbent large companies with more than $500 billion said, what? No.
What are you talking about? Absolutely not. We're not doing that.
I think didn't Microsoft drop out?
Yeah, I think so.
But at the last minute, I mean, it's just kind of it's pretty incredible though, because if you're one of the giant companies and you hang on until this thing folds up, you win again because the smaller companies now have no voice to complain when you're doing horribly unethical things.
And the chances of the Congress critters actually understanding the argument when you sit down in front of them, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and don't forget that Pelosi's not going to do anything, but because she owns your stocks.
Yeah.
She knew this was coming.
She probably did. I should look at the trades.
Those are her husband's trades, not hers. So
Also, big tech and business news this week, and this one is just blood wants to shoot out of my nose.
don't buy a monitor or TV just for HDMI 2.1. Read the fine print or you might get bamboozled.
So they literally are okay with TV manufacturers printing that a TV is HDMI 2.1, and that used to mean some things, and it now doesn't mean those things anymore. You could get a crappier TV that claims it's HDMI 2.1, but it's not actually what was HDMI 2.1 up until December 15th, 2021.
It feels like the story should have ran like before Black Friday.
Here's the table. This table is, you're going to have to commit this table to memory next time you're TV shopping in order to figure out if the TV that you're buying is actually going to do what you want. Frustrating.
I think the refresh rate is a big giveaway, right? If it says it's HDMI 2.1, but it's got a garbage refresh rate, it's probably not HDMI 2.1.
No, so I ran into this. Mostly that's right, but motion smoothing. The motion smoothing setting where it'll
make it look really weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So that counts. And if you have an HDMI TV that only has 60 hertz inputs, but it will do 120 hertz motion smoothing, they'll advertise that it's a 120 hertz capable monitor when it's not.
This has to be the industry controlling the regulation, right? I mean,
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
there's no way that this is not just people making these cables setting up these rules
Yeah.
or making the TVs.
Yeah, I think that's got to be what it is. It's got to be the manufacturers telling the industry association, look, you have to do this in order for us to do ABC, XYZ. Computer motherboards have said for a long time that their HDMI output ports are HDMI 2.1, but mostly that's not true. There are some features of HDMI 2.1 that are supported on motherboard HDMI out, but most of them aren't. Things like 4K 120 hertz, not actually supported on just about every motherboard. It sucks. So, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people did a lot of videos and content on this week, and it makes no sense. This is very, very anti-consumer. This is very, very, borderline fraud. It should never have been done. At the opposite end of the spectrum, we have this.
This is kind of good news. Dell's Luna laptop concept is all about repairability.
4 screws in this laptop. This is a concept, which means that it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, and it's also, if it does exist, it's probably going to be like one laptop and not across all their products. So
Yeah.
Certainly not going to be all that.
I think that this corporate adoption, yeah, certainly not across all their products, but I think corporations would be likely to adopt this, the ones that buy thousands of laptops, because it would be easy to service them and easy to upgrade or replace them. I mean, think about if you've bought a laptop every couple of years for the last 5 or 10 years, probably the last 3 laptops, the last 6 years of laptops, the display hasn't been significantly better from generation to generation. So if you could just swap the innards and keep the same display, that's a significant part of the cost of a laptop. That'd be great.
I mean, yeah, it could be a good thing. I'd like to see that across more manufacturers, but
It's
they're moving slowly on that.
the laptop manufacturer. I reviewed one of them. The ones that are repairable and open.
I remember the name because I was reading the comments on that article, and a lot of people brought it up, but I don't remember the name now.
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering. Linus bought stock in them, which is fun. But they're it's funny that there are all these companies that are saying, "Yay, let's do repairability," because there are companies like that popping up which are legit doing it. And this right now is just lip service. They haven't actually done the work. This is just more of a, me too, this is going to be great. But they actually have to commit to doing it. So I will remain skeptical until they do that.
You know what else this does? This gives you more toward your environmental woke investment score. Investment companies are using that now. ESG. You're playing toward ESG here.
There's 2 sides of ESG though. This may be another thing for the too hot for thing, but there's 2 sides of ESG. There's the feel good, we're going to do this for the environment, but if you look at the total, it's actually worse for the environment.
Yeah.
But this is one of the few things that I think could actually be good for the environment if we get people to actually reuse their electronics. That's not in these companies' best interest for their pocketbook. But if
I definitely agree with you, but the thing that I think is I don't think Dell is going to actually try to sell a lot of these. I think it just
Yeah.
exists to try to help that number.
Right. That's because they aren't rolling it out across like multiple products. I do think it's kind of a fluff piece right now, but
It's like, no, if you want the sexy laptop, you're going to have to get the one that's unrepairable.
right.
Otherwise, it looks like, a government-issued toast laptop.
And it's going to brick in like 2 or 3 years and you're going to have to get another one. Weird how that works.
I like the basic look of this one though. I don't think it's bad looking.
No.
No, I think that'll turn, like, the marketing will turn that into a cultural thing, kind of like, the iPhone has, turned into like a cultural thing.
A
It's like,
status symbol.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I want the $1,000 iPhone, and it's like, but it's like $200 of electronics. It's like, doesn't matter. Need the
They'll
little-
only sell it in a mustard color.
So you know.
It's like, oh, you got one of the mustard laptops. That's great. I don't know. This is, I don't know. I don't know about this.
No, I didn't. Samsung submits patent application on a rollable smartwatch. You should scroll down to the images here.
Yeah, here's the pictures. This is what it looks like. So it's like a circular watch face, but you can squeeze it and it'll turn into an oval, so you got more screen real estate.
The only thing I thought when I was looking at these images was like, how the hell do I design for that?
It's gonna be
What kind of
custom.
solution is that? So the diagram here, it shows the finger as if it's poking a button. Do you think you have to actually twist that manually, or is it motorized? And if it's motorized, how much battery is that gonna?
And how quickly will that fail?
I don't think it's motorized. It might be spring loaded or something, but I don't think it would be motorized. I think you could probably like squeeze it or pop it open. They've got another picture down here which suggests some of the mechanism, or I saw a picture of this somewhere which suggests some of the mechanism in here on the edges. But
And when that spring fails, that's a 99.99 repair.
yeah, right here. Yeah. It's like, I just went for a jog with my phone and now it stays open all the time. It's like, well, you shouldn't have gone for a jog with your fancy new rollable phone. Seems like that would also chew up a
Ridiculous.
lot of battery.
Also, I don't know if this is to scale, but like compared to the hand in these pictures, this phone is massive.
I mean, watch.
I like how when the phone, like in this picture, it looks like the screen expands and also the wristband expands.
Your wrist is also the size of like it's also kind of square. It's a little weird.
This is for elephants.
What do they need a smartwatch for?
So crazy.
So they don't forget, Krista.
Does anyone? I guess there's probably a few people in our audience. If you have a smartwatch, tell us what you like about it.
The Fossil smartwatch was really, really popular for a while. That it had the passive transmissive LCD display and a whole bunch. There's a lot of people that still like maintain theirs, even though it's ancient and anemic by modern computation standards.
I really can't see a scenario where I would really use one. That's why I'm curious what other people think. My mom has a Fitbit, but she uses that for like fitness stuff. I don't know what you'd use like a normal smartwatch for.
It'd be nice to,
Looking cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have one of the ones that records like all your biometric data. I'd love to have that for mom. But,
Oh, yeah.
But it's like the phone can be like, has she moved around in the last 4 hours?
She's been all right.
Better go check on her. Yeah, so I don't know. Speaking of spending their way out of problems,
Intel to invest $7 billion in new plant in Malaysia, creating 9,000 jobs.
yeah, Intel's trying to spend their way out of the situation that they're currently in, and they're spending money in a lot of places. Now, Malaysia is not new. Intel has been making stuff in Malaysia since the Celeron 300 days, and even well before that. So, yeah, this is it's cool that they're expanding though.
I was about to ask why Malaysia, since we know India's doing a bunch of stuff too, but
That they've always been there. Like,
yeah, it
there's-
makes sense if they've already got connections there.
Yeah. And now we begin the dark descent into just you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Toyota is going to make you pay to start your car with your key fob.
So it's not even an internet connected start, although you can do that as well. This is the fob
Yeah.
in your, which has a radio. They will disable it remotely if it is currently enabled, unless you subscribe.
This is
That's
just
all a package. So you can't just have the fob remote car you start. You must have both the fob and all the internet connected stuff.
remote start though, right? Like never mind. Blech.
Well,
As
you
opposed to
I
like,
don't
just
know.
not
My
letting you
brain,
start
my
your
brain
car?
just turned off for a second. It's fine.
yeah, well, eventually it will be. You can't start your car without a subscription.
That's what I was thinking. Like, well, when will we reach that dark?
eventually it will be you can't drive your car manually because that's too unsafe. You must only have self-driving, and there doesn't exist non-subscription self-driving software. That will happen in our lifetime.
I really need to be doing better maintenance on my old crappy car to make sure that it survives.
Who knows? Maybe that'll herald mass transit. I don't know. But this is really distasteful, and I'm really surprised that Toyota hasn't rolled this back. One of the reports I read on this said that the reason they're so emboldened by this is because this has worked really well for Lexus. Apparently, Lexus owners are morons and have been perfectly happy to pay a subscription for remote start. So Toyota is saying, oh, we think the time is right for people to just pay for the same thing over and over and over again without us as a company delivering any value. Seems moronic to me.
Do you realize that Lexus is Toyota?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like Toyota has, is like, it works so well for Lexus, it'll work for Toyota owners. And it's like, well, your first mistake was thinking that those are the same, but
the demographics there is kind of slightly different.
Yeah.
They boiled the fattest frogs.
Yeah.
Now they're going for the rest of the frogs.
Because it works so well. So I predict that, if it weren't for the right to repair stuff, imagine the even darker future where you can't make modifications to your car. And so they would come after you legally because the car would report to Toyota and say, hey, this person has modified their car to do their own remote start. It would let Toyota know that, hey, this car has been modified. Teslas already do that.
I mean, hell, even just putting air in the tires, I bet they'll be like, no, don't do that.
I don't think Tesla has gone so far as to, report to law enforcement. But if you enable the plaid mode or whatever, if you can route your car, you can enable features on your car that it doesn't currently have, like the fastest acceleration, and they will take punitive measures if you do that, if they can get back in.
Just go back and look at all the people who defended those kinds of things for DRM with music and movies and all that stuff. That's how we got here. Those are the people you should be angry at.
Speaking of which,
YouTube TV warns it may lose all Disney-owned channels amid contract dispute.
Oh, the delicious irony. YouTube has said, well, if you've got YouTube TV, we'll cut your price by $15 if you lose access to Disney channels. At the time we're recording this, we don't know if that went through or not, but by the time you're watching this, you'll know. Fun times, huh?
So that's all the sports. That's Fox. That's most of your major motion pictures right now. They own some other really huge things.
I hate that.
It's almost like we maybe shouldn't have let them collect all that stuff.
Yeah. It's almost like they have a monopoly on the whole entertainment industry.
That's so crazy. We can't just set... what's really crazy is we have this FRAND thing for patents, like the fair and reasonable license fees for that, so that anybody can buy the rights to something to use it for whatever based on, whatever. We don't have that for things like copyright. Disney can just do what it wants.
They own everything. And you
Hasn't
will
that
pay
always been
handsomely
true?
for it.
In every aspect. I mean, you go and look at some of the stuff in Orlando, like, what they get away with there. They've always done what they want.
Yeah, it is amazing how many laws in Florida are, you can't do this unless you're a theme park company. Who's that written for? I don't understand.
There must be other theme parks down there.
Speaking of things that I don't understand,
Reddit files to go public.
I don't get it.
Trying to make money.
What don't you get about it? They're going to make a crap ton of money.
They're going to make a crap ton of money, but it's just like, there's not, I don't know. It's just, it's a mess.
And they're going to add that thing where you get money for comments and stuff too. Some sort of crypto coin.
They're absolutely praying that somehow Wall Street Bets decides that they're worthy.
They probably won't.
No.
I don't know what value. I mean, with all the purges and all of the mismanagement and all of the just.
This can only
here's the thing.
Be bad things.
With all of that, with all the purges, with all the mismanagement, with everything that we hate about Reddit now, I believe they've made it much more profitable in terms of advertising.
Oh yeah, that's probably true, because now advertisers aren't going to get screenshots from activists saying, why did your ad run next to this really horrible thing? Because it's been deleted.
Exactly.
It's kind of a bummer to see Reddit go that way because there's a lot of like really tiny niche communities on there that I like to follow for like canning or tree identification. And it's like, I don't really want to go to 10 separate sites to go like look at that kind of content, but I'm probably going to have to soon.
Krista, the question you have to ask yourself is, how is the tree identification subreddit going to support the Disney Corporation? That's the only concern from here on out.
No one advertises.
They would prefer that you only enjoy the plastic trees at the theme parks.
Planted by Disney workers, all smiling.
This tree was seen in Alice in Wonderland. This tree was seen in Disney's Aladdin. This tree was seen in Star
But they're
Wars.
clearly like plastic and like painted by the animators. Like,
This tree was in Song of the South. We don't talk about this tree.
Speaking of things that we don't talk about,
Melania Trump launches NFT platform in first public endeavor since the White House.
I think somebody just got her in a room and was like, this is going to be free money. Just sign here. And she said, okay.
I can't.
Here's what I don't understand, right? The NFT is a watercolor by someone else. It includes an audio recording of Trump, and the digital art will cost $150. That sounds like two different things. I don't know what CNN's trying to tell me here.
Yeah, I was also kind of confused about like. I also just like, why Melania? Like, it doesn't have anything to do with her. But
One of the NFTs was a watercolor of like her eyes.
oh,
It's our picture of her. I see.
that makes more
But
sense.
so $150, is there just one, or is she selling like multiple copies of this?
It seemed like it was a new platform, and hers was the first one on the platform.
Because I can't imagine that Melania Trump gets out of bed for $150.
Well, it's like maybe OpenSeas, where they get a cut of every transaction. I don't know.
Yeah, she's definitely having her own platform in some way. And Parler is what it's running on?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like... I guess that's where the content would live.
Do you think this is the Mastodon team? Is it the same company?
No, I think that it's probably the Mastodon code base, but I don't think it's those developers. I think they've got their own.
No. I don't mean those guys. This is not Mastodon. It's Parler. But I'm saying, is this the same people that are doing Trump's Mastodon project?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, possibly.
Do you think maybe she's trying to like amass some of her own wealth in her own account so she can leave? She's like, oh yeah, I'll do some of these NFTs. Also, I opened a new bank account. Don't worry about it, honey.
Well, if she left and he has any hope of going back into politics again, he would have to give her a lot. He would have to pull a Bezos, right?
Yeah. It would definitely have to be a Bezos.
I don't know if he could live with that. I think that might kill him.
I'd be curious if public opinion probably wouldn't turn against him. Like, not for his followers if they divorced.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody is going to change their mind about Donald Trump from now on.
Yeah.
He's got his crew and he's got the people that would love to kill him, and that's really all there is. Well, I mean, I'm in the middle, but it's such a lonely place.
Speaking of lonely places,
Coinbase mistakenly told some customers they were billionaires.
This affected me. In fact, it was hundreds of billions of dollars.
Wow.
did you log in and was like, oh no, what have I done?
Merry Christmas to me.
What was the algorithm doing?
No, I didn't see it till later. So I was just looking at like my portfolio balance, and it's kind of a straight line, and then just one giant spike in the middle.
So, wait, what?
And then they fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed it.
It was okay though. You couldn't have executed any trades or anything at that time anyway, so
Yeah, I didn't see it in real time. I wouldn't have tried, but it is hilarious because you float over it and it's like, oh, 300 billion.
Let's hope that doesn't affect the IRS reporting that they have to do at the beginning of next year.
Well, there were tweets in that article, and like almost all of them had been deleted. So I'm assuming it was someone being like, look how much money I made, and then realizing their mistake and deleting it later.
Why would you? That's like winning the lottery and telling everybody. I would tell nobody.
Yeah.
You guys would be like, what happened to Ryan?
He just disappeared. He doesn't come
No
into
one's
work.
seen
He's
him.
not doing level 1 stuff anymore. What's going on?
He dropped these cats off at Chris's house and now he's gone.
There was a guy that I had looking for Bitcoin in the office once, and then he just disappeared.
That might have been a bad move in retrospect.
Anyway,
Vodeo becomes the first unionized game studio in North America. 13-person union, so relatively small, but that's probably a step in the right direction.
It begins contract negotiations soon. This is a lot of big companies are watching this and they're absolutely terrified.
Kind of weird though, because it doesn't seem like these guys need to unionize at all. It seems like they're perfectly fine. Whoever's in charge is perfectly reasonable. It's kind of like they just want to do it for fun.
Well, they certainly got a lot of headlines.
Yeah, they're probably trying to set a precedent, right? Like,
Who's ever heard of these guys before? It says
Yeah.
they made Beast Breaker. You ever heard of Beast Breaker?
Nope.
we can't really throw shade on tiny indie games though, because I mean that's kind of our niche on Twitch.
Yeah, but I'm tuned into that world. I've never heard of it.
Well, there are links in here to things like the Activision Blizzard walk off and some of the other stuff. Remember the CEO that wrote the letter that was like, you need to think hard about the consequences of your actions before you unionize. You know, almost like we'll just shut down your studio. It's like, well, that's pretty harsh, dude. Kind of sucks that the studios feel like, you know, they have to treat employees like that.
I've heard the VFX industry is kind of having the same thing right now, where
Yeah.
like they're trying to get together and unionize. And
The VFX industry, it's funny, like Hollywood in general, VFX is one of the last places that's not unionized in Hollywood. It's sort of crazy.
I hope they get paid better.
Woo! Speaking of weird mysteries,
Intel's mystery Linux muckabout is a dangerous ploy at a dangerous time.
so this article is a lot of words to just tell you that Intel submitted a patch to the Linux kernel that allows you to load license keys through the Linux kernel that presumably would unlock hardware that is cryptographically locked to enable features on your processor that weren't there before. In the least dark timeline is, you know, you have a 4-core processor with a certain amount of cache, and maybe you get a license key from Intel with your serial number, and it unlocks 6 cores with more cache for your specific processor, meaning the hardware was always there. You just pay a little bit extra after the fact to unlock it. In the least bad timeline, the worst timeline is if you want your random number generator to work, you're going to have to agree to a monthly subscription.
Oh. I was wondering
So-
where the most dark timeline was going to go.
Rupert Goodwin's, I imagine, is a big open source guy, and I hope his code writing is better than his actual writing, because good lord, this was like being in the room with him, and that's not a good thing. Might want to rethink the career there, Rupert. But he does bring up some very good points in that, you know, like Intel and Microsoft, they are definitely trying to worm their way in and ruin Linux.
Yeah. I don't think that with RISC-V and ARM and companies like that running a lot of things on Linux and contributing a lot to the kernel, I don't think that this will ultimately have any effect. I think Intel is thinking that they can sell chips at mid-range prices and then squeeze more money out of people later. I think they're looking at like Amazon. So like Amazon bought a crap load of 18-core processors, and then they physically swapped them out with 28-core processors. I think if Intel is saying, look, if we just make 28-core processors for everybody, and then just, you know, sell software unlocks to give you whatever core you want, that would probably be better in the long run, because we would be even more likely to sell upgrades to those processors later to unlock more cores. That's probably what they have in mind. But it could just as easily be a subscription service.
Next story. Struggling to win subscribers, Netflix cuts price in India.
People in India not real happy, not real on board with the whole subscribe for everything.
Well, they went for the Disney one. That's crazy. Disney definitely won in India.
I think that's true almost everywhere.
Disney is aggressive and ruthless.
Yeah. How much is Disney Plus a month?
A lot here, a lot.
I don't.
It's
I mean,
not
I
much
don't
fair.
know.
Remember they did that introductory price?
And then it went up.
It was, I don't know if it ever went up. It was like $2 or something like that.
What is it here though?
I think it's like 18.
For the full HD, I think, yeah, it's like 20 maybe for everything.
So, I don't know.
Nah, son.
And now executives are starting to notice.
Cable news talent wars are shifting to streaming platforms.
So this talks about CNN, Brian Williams, and Rachel Maddow, and Chris Cuomo. Now, Chris Cuomo was fired. That's different.
Well, the big one is Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace is going from Fox Cable to CNN streaming.
Hmm.
Which I don't get because, like, they're so diametrically opposed. I don't think the CNN people will accept a Fox person. Maybe they will.
Maybe it'll be like dueling persons. I really liked it when they did that with some of the people like before and after the presidential election, not the 2020 presidential election, but like 2020. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It was
16?
like, yeah, it was like the candidate where, before they were elected and then after they were elected, and they were saying opposite things, and it's like, wait a minute, and it was at all levels of government. It was Mitch McConnell, it was Obama, it was a whole bunch of other people, and it was like, here's from 1996 where they said this, and then here's from 2008 where they said that. I was like, those are opposite things. They use the opposite words. It'll probably be like that.
Yeah, you're describing every politician who's ever existed except Ron Paul.
It sure feels that way, doesn't it? And that just makes me sad. You know what else makes me sad?
Her Instagram handle was Metaverse. Last month, it vanished. I think as of this recording, it is back.
It is back.
But she had to kind of fight.
Well, she didn't do anything. The New York Times was doing this story, just lighting the Facebook on fire for being so stupid, and then magically it got fixed.
Yeah, Facebook said it was an error. I don't think that was an error.
That was not an error.
I think someone asked for that account to be disabled so they could get their own one set up.
Yes, that is exactly what was going on. And then it was
She
like,
did
wait,
nails,
nails?
fingernails.
Oh, a fingernail influencer? That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's the metaverse though.
I think she also documented like her entire life. Which, I mean, is that too weird on social media? Maybe it was when she started it. I think it was like a pretty old account, but
9 years. She's had it for 9 years.
yeah.
That's ours now. Be ashamed if something happened to it.
Thanks for all your photos and memories.
So here's the
Deleted.
question. They can't have metaverse now. What are they going to use instead?
They're probably going to give her $1 million to change her name to something else.
Yeah, or could they just do Meta? Or they're not Facebook anymore, so they can't say Facebook Metaverse. Like,
I don't know if we have a story on it, but you know how it was one of those is it Stripe? Stripe is going to be blocked now or
oh
something?
yeah.
H&R Block is suing to stop that.
Oh. I liked the logo for Block. But
Well, it's not quite the same thing though, because H&R Block and Block are kind of in the same business.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're similar, like financial institution kind of thing.
Oh, I like the schadenfreude of just watching all of that, like watching Disney, fight with the big G. But it's not. No matter the outcome, it's bad for
It's
everybody.
bad for all of us, but it is fun to watch them fight each other.
Speaking of which,
Facebook exec blames society for COVID. Oh shit!
no,
Misinformation.
for misinformation about the thing. So this is an interview, and it's like, why are you murdering puppies? And it's like, look, we didn't make those videos of puppies dying. They're just on our platform.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with anything he says here. As much as I would love to hate on Facebook.
I agree with him up to a point because people are just terrible. But like, how much does their algorithm promote certain ideas? That's the question, right?
It promotes engagement, and people engage with things that are
spicy
outrageous.
takes. Yeah.
People like that stuff. The only thing that Facebook does is show you what you like, and it turns out we as people like the worst stuff.
Facebook does not know how to advertise to me, so I get a lot of ads. It's like it knows I'm a woman, so it's like, here's a tampon commercial. Do you want this? What about this? Are you thinking about having a baby? And it's like, not really right now, but thanks.
You probably
Facebook.
don't feed it enough, Krista.
No, I don't.
It doesn't have enough points to figure you out.
It's confused by what I look at on Marketplace, that's for sure. That's like the main thing I use it for, and it's like, what the hell is she looking at all the time? I guess she likes to see dumpster dive. I don't-
She's looking at a life-size Bart Simpson painted nightstand. What?
Yeah.
Where do
Or
we put that?
the real doll of the Avatar baby.
Where does this?
Where
What
does this go?
points do we put in what buckets? I don't understand. Speaking of points in buckets and social media posts, and looking at them to try to figure out if you're a good person or not.
Capitol rioters' social media posts influence sentencings.
Ooh.
Is that
Now,
surprising?
so this
I mean,
judge, think about everything this judge says, right? And then tell me how this is any different than a sitting American judge basically saying, "Yep, this is a social media score. This is what we're doing now."
Well, we already
Like
have that with the credit score.
a la the China thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not missing social credit on social media, but it's the same thing.
No, there's that. You should read this as an Associated Press article. Everybody should read this. It's definitely, there's a lot of things in here which I don't think the author intended for there to be a dark undertone, but there's definitely a dark undertone.
There is, yeah.
There was one person who had a lighter sentence. What were you gonna say?
One of them got a worse sentence because LOL was in a tweet.
Yeah, yeah. That's not the worst one though. It's this last paragraph here, but it worked to the advantage of one. Virginia charter boat captain Hiles likely avoided a stricter sentence by posting videos and photos of him and his cousin at the Capitol. A day after the riot, he received a private message from Capitol police officer who said he agreed with him and said, "Hey, I'm going to delete all these messages and blah blah blah." So he cooperated with another investigation of the police officer. And the prosecutors said we wouldn't have had a case against the Capitol police officer if this person hadn't cooperated with us. So he got a lighter sentence. And it's like, there's like 7 things there that should set off some alarm bells. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
That's how the entire justice system works. That's exactly how we treat the drug war. Think about that.
Yeah.
Nervous laughter.
It's Christmas season, so maybe you guys have watched The Santa Claus with Tim Allen from the 90s. Apparently, I didn't know this about him. Apparently, he was super into coke.
Yeah.
When he was in his early 20s, and like way he got out of his sentence was snitching on everybody else who was also doing coke with him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
amazing.
He's not well loved in the comedy world.
That's interesting. See, I loved those movies. I didn't know that about him.
Speaking of things not well loved,
2 Democratic senators urge federal investigations into Facebook for allegedly misleading claims.
So this has to do with advertising and advertising reach. They might be asleep at the helm here because remember when they overstated their video platform reach by 10-1 and nothing happened? This is just sad. It's so dysfunctional. They just why now? Why now?
Here's the thing though. I'm afraid that both of these senators have also made some misleading claims in their time to the public.
Yeah.
Maybe more important than what Facebook is making.
Yeah. It's funny how that works though. I mean, the misleading claims, the stuff they're accusing Facebook of being misleading of would reach really far back in time. So it is curious that now it's a big deal. Why now? I don't know.
Oh, sorry. New social media transparency bill would force Facebook to open up to researchers.
The PATA Act, PATA? I don't know. Would mandate data access for vetted institutions. So I don't know if I agree with how they're doing this, but really the researchers that had a Facebook plugin, like you or me or anybody watching this, could have gone to the researcher's webpage and installed a plugin, and then the plugin would report certain data when you're on a Facebook website or a Facebook that has the Facebook like button or ads from Facebook that's not Facebook itself. The plugin could read the webpage and see those things and report that data back for their data set. Facebook has blocked those things. I think that this kind of a law should make it to where Facebook is not allowed to block those things, but not directly have to hand over the data that they've collected internally, if that makes sense. But this is going quite far.
But you have to be a part of a university and you have to be approved by this National Science Foundation. There's still going to be so much that is silenced here.
There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity for companies like Facebook to co-opt, I guess, is ultimately what will happen. Because that's what happened with the Internet Association. That will happen with these research groups.
But they don't even have to, because I'm sure the National Science Foundation is already regulatory capture. Like, it's already controlled by who's ever in power. So this is not a way for people to actually get access. This is a way for Facebook and the government to agree on who should get access.
Do you think that it'll be the case that when, whatever research team has this in the interim, that all of a sudden Facebook has research grants that are also awarded at the same school, maybe even the same PhDs.
Yeah, I also see some things being pulled because it turns out that they have dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, and then the rules change a little bit.
And then the incumbent platforms are basically the incumbent platforms from now until the end of time, because no other platform could possibly compete. Mastodon isn't going to be able to set up the infrastructure to share with researchers or do anything. So how could they possibly be allowed to exist legally?
Oh, you know what? That's a good point. Mastodon is about to get hit by a hurricane of attention come January. People are going to try to pick it apart every way they can.
Yeah.
Well, that would happen no matter what. But
Speaking of fun things that are coming like a hurricane,
Twitter asks judge to throw out Trump's lawsuit over ban.
so this is, again, the opposite of the Russia thing. It's Section 230. It's like, hey, it's Twitter's platform. They can do what they want. That's historically been the stance under Twitter law. The lawyer here has an interesting argument. He says that the Section 230 amounts to a government grant to operate, and as a condition of receiving money under a grant, there are certain things you have to comply with, like First Amendment, common carrier stuff. I don't think that argument is going to hold up in court, but it's an interesting approach.
Yeah, this is one of these arguments where I hate Twitter, and I think they are absolutely poison and as biased as it can get. But this 230 stuff is too dangerous to do. You're setting up. You're taking a small victory if you're doing this for political reasons, but you're setting up horror in the future.
Yeah,
because the other side is going to get a hold of it.
Yeah, it's something breaks when the platform reaches a certain size, and even if it's not Twitter, think about like what MasterCard and Visa has done, because they're just like, we're not going to make it possible for you to give causes money anymore. It's like, wait, what? That seems not right. It's like, hey, it's their platform. They can do that. They're allowed to do that under the law. We've definitely seen some negative impacts of that. Speaking of negative impacts.
Yeah. The Metaverse has a groping problem already.
Yeah, it's VR.
I think VR chat had this same problem, and
yeah,
they've done it here too, where they've implemented like blocks and stuff like that. But I mean, why do VR chat or Metaverse if you're gonna have to block yourself off from all the people? They're not gonna have any women on the platform.
Well, this wasn't the Metaverse social thing. This was a game.
Yeah,
it was like a zombie game. And in between waves, one guy decided to grope. Which, wow, what has to be wrong with you that
right?
You do that? But it's not like groping was built into the game. All he was doing was waving his digital hands in
probably making nasty noises.
I have a question though. Does this what about teabagging?
I know. Well, a lot of people brought that up.
That's an important point, because everything we've seen about the Metaverse so far has been no lower bodies, but apparently this game did have lower bodies.
I feel like teabagging doesn't really, I mean, maybe it did originally, but I don't feel like it has the same sexual connotation to it.
Look, no, Krista, that's just because you didn't know what it was till we explained it to you.
Yeah, I got teabagged in Overwatch when we first started playing, and I thought it was funny. I was like, look, he's crouching on me. So then I started doing it back when I would kill this other guy in the game. And then I think it was Wendell or Ryan saw my death cam and saw me crouching on this guy. And they were like, are you teabagging? I was like, is that what that is? I didn't even know.
Also, the other great thing about this is one of the things that they're talking about in terms of fixing it is to give you an easy way to quickly just push everybody away from you.
Yeah, I think it was
what they're
doing
talking
this.
about is it's like the victory pose. Put your hands up like that. So imagine a young Krista, you're out at the store and you have a cheese counter moment.
Oh.
You're gonna see people at the store just throw their hands up and just
No, that actually works if you're ever in a crowd and you feel like you're getting too close to people and you're trying to get through. If you throw your hands up like this and then go ee, people do not like that. They immediately part the way.
I can confirm.
Yeah, I've done that before when I'm just I don't care. I just want to get out of here, and I don't care to look weird.
Yeah, sometimes crowds freak me out.
Especially with children, because children are going to get used to that. And then they're going to go out into the world. You're going to be seeing that. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think the high pitched noise is part of it, but like that
does
is
help.
absolutely the help.
They should add that. Facebook should add that.
You have to make a high.
Yeah.
That or saying I have to throw up. That will usually also clear a path through a crowd.
Times have you used that one, Krista?
Listen, there's a festival that I go to in my hometown. It's like a giant flea market, and it gets really, really crowded. And sometimes you just need to get out of the crowd for a minute.
Speaking of getting out of the crowd for a minute,
TikTok is testing a desktop streaming software called TikTok Live Studio.
it's Open Broadcaster. They took Open Broadcaster and ripped it off.
I think OBS actually had someone who literally ripped them off recently.
Yeah, that was
Streamlabs, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think before it was like they were kind of okay with it, but then they started being more blatant about it, and they were like, "Please don't do this."
Yeah, it's like, can we use OBS in the name? No, please don't. And it's like, are you gonna turn this into a legal thing?
Yeah.
All right.
So
It's amazing that there's so many fewer features on this
Yeah.
than Twitch. I guess maybe if you hate Amazon, although TikTok is not like a young upstart.
I feel like people who are probably doing this are probably TikTok stars, like people who they don't use Twitch, they use TikTok. Like,
Yeah. Well, check out there's a video and some other stuff on the TechCrunch article. Definitely check that out. But they really just took OBS and took a few things out of OBS and put a different skin on it and said, ta-da, look what we did. And it's like, no, that's not. It's the I made this meme. It's like, you made this? No, I made this. No, you didn't.
But it could catch on because they have so much
they have a big
momentum
following.
right now.
Yeah. You know what else TikTok is good for?
How do you pronounce Gasconade County School District to close Friday after TikTok threat challenge.
So this was last Friday, but there was a TikTok challenge. It's like, hey, do something, violent at your school, like kick a door or something. And the school just said, you know what? Nope,
Screw this, we're out. Nope.
We're closed. It's fine.
I would love. I don't think anybody could ever track this down, but how much would you love to watch a documentary that covered the origin of all the TikTok challenges? I'm fascinated by how these get started.
We need an Anthony Bourdain of TikTok challenges. It's like, in the beginning there was, and then.
TikTok has always been. I mean, like they do. The thing that they're really famous for is not so much some of these prank ones, but like dance challenges. So like one dance craze will catch on just because of someone doing it on TikTok.
No, but we had these challenges on Twitter way before TikTok existed.
Yeah. Well, the cinnamon challenge, the lip challenge where you put like a cup over your lips.
The bleach, the boiling water,
the Tide Pod challenge.
Yeah, Tide. There have been so many.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There were some in the beginning, in the very, very beginning, even with like Flash. I remember like some of the really early viral Flash things where it was just clips of random people doing things.
If we got any young documentarians in the audience, that would make a great film.
Do you remember the one where it was like you were sitting in like the cheap lawn furniture and somebody would kick a leg out from underneath somebody and the chair wouldn't move, but the leg would just go flying? I feel like that was one.
I don't remember that.
That was like, 2002.
The first challenge that I remember was, I think, the ice bucket challenge and then the cinnamon challenge. Those both predated TikTok, but I can't remember what year that was.
Ice bucket was interesting because they almost made it wholesome for 10 minutes, but then it just got dragged right back down.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got for Friday?
Friday is a massive security and a massive nonsense.
Ooh.
Well, that's something to look forward to for Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah. When you're driving, you can listen to the nonsense section. Woo. We'll see you then. Bye.